Hello and welcome back, friends. The Psychology of Money, Part 2. My favorite Wikipedia entry begins. Ronald James Reed was an American philanthropist, investor, janitor, and a gas station attendant. Ronald Reed was born in rural Vermont. He was the first person in his family to graduate high school, made all the more impressive by the fact that he hitchhiked to campus each day. For those who knew Ronald Reed, there wasn't much else worth mentioning. His life was about as low key as they come. Reed fixed cars at a gas station for 25 years and swept floors at J.C. Penney for 17 years. He bought a two-bedroom house for $12,000 at age 38 and lived there for the rest of his life. He was widowed at the age 50 and never remarried. A friend recalled that his main hobby was chopping firewood. Reed died in 2014, aged 92, which is when the humble rural janitor made international headlines. 2,813,503 Americans died in 2014. Fewer than 4,000 of them had a net worth of over $8 million when they passed away. Ronald Reed was one of them. In his will, the former janitor left 2 million to his stepkids and more than 6 million to his local hospital and library. Those who knew Reed were baffled. Where did he get all that money? It turned out that there was no secret. There was no lottery win and no inheritance. Reed saved what little he could and invested it in blue chip stocks. Then he waited for decades on end as tiny savings compounded into more than 8 million. That's it, from janitor to philanthropist. A few moments before Ronald Reed died, another man named Richard was in the news. Richard Fuscone was everything Ronald Reed was not, a Harvard educated Merrill Lynch executive with an MBA. Fuscon had such a successful career in finance that he retired in his 40s to become a philanthropist. Former Merrill CEO David Komansky praised Fuscon's business savvy, leadership skills, sound judgment, and personal integrity. Crane's Business magazine once included him in a 40 under 40 list of successful business people. But then, like the gold coin skipping tech executive, everything fell apart. In the mid 2000s, Fuscon borrowed heavily to expand an 18,000 square foot home in Greenwich, Connecticut that had 11 bathrooms, 2 elevators, 2 pools, 7 garages, and cost more than $90,000 a month to maintain. Then the 2008 financial crisis hit. The crisis hurt virtually everyone's finances. It apparently turned Fuscons into dust. High debt and illiquid assets left him bankrupt. I currently have no income, he allegedly told a bankruptcy judge in 2008. First, his Palm Beach house was foreclosed. In 2014, it was the Greenwich Mansion's turn. 5 months before Ronald Reed left his fortune to charity, Richard Fuscon's home, where the guests recalled the thrill of dining and dancing atop to see through, covering on the home's indoor swimming pool, was sold in a foreclosure auction for 75% less than an insurance company figured it was worth. Ronald Reed was patient. Richard Fuscon was greedy. That's all it took to eclipse the massive education and experience gap between the two. The lesson here is not to be more like Ronald and less like Richard, though that's not bad advice. The fascinating thing about these stories is how unique they are to finance. In what other industry does someone with no college degree, no training, no background, no formal experience, and no connections massively outperform someone with the best education, the best training, and the best connections? I struggle to think of any. It is impossible to think of a story about Ronald Reed performing a heart transplant better than a Harvard trained surgeon or designing a skyscraper superior to the best trained architects. There will never be a story of a janitor outperforming the world's top nuclear engineers. but these stories do happen in investing. The fact that Ronald Reed can coexist with Richard Fuscon has two explanations. One, financial outcomes are driven by luck, independent of intelligence and effort. That's true to some extent, and this book will discuss it in further detail. Or two, and I think more common, that financial success is not a hard science. It's a soft skill where how you behave is more important than what you know. I call this soft skill of the psychology of money. The aim of this book is to use short stories to convince you that soft skills are more important than the technical side of money. I'll do this in a way that will help everyone, from Reed to Fuscon and everyone in between, make better financial decisions. These soft skills are, I have come to realize, greatly underappreciated. Finance is overwhelming, taught as a math based field where you put data into a formula and the formula tells you what to do. And it's assumed that you will just go do it. This is true in personal finance, where you are told to have a 6-month emergency fund and save 10% of your salary. It's true in investing, where we know the exact historical correlations between interest rates and valuations. And it's true in corporate finance, where CFOs can measure the precise cost of capital. It's not that any of these things are bad or wrong, it's that knowing what to do tells you nothing about what happens in your head when you try to do it.